Straight out of 1984, the Ministry of Truth. The Ministry of Truth. Well, the left, the Biden administration, and some in the media are insisting it isn't such a big deal. And putting it under the Department of Homeland Security, a law enforcement agency, just makes the most sense imaginable. Of course it does. But regular Americans, you and me, not sure at all. In fact, it's a terrible idea. The government has lied to us all before. Remember the Russian dossier? It's real. Hunter Biden's laptop, it's fake. So say 17 intelligence, departments. Please. They don't get the benefit of the doubt anymore. Give me a break. We showed you earlier President Barack Obama saying that we need a system with more content moderation, not less, presumably somehow to protect democracy. Still not sure how that works. Because in our nation, more speech, more freedom is always proven to create even more. People that try to restrict freedom and say, I don't want to hear what you have to say, that leads to tyranny. Former Congresswoman, Democrat candidate for president, Tulsi Gabbard, tweeted this about what Obama said. Biden is just the front man. Obama, April 21, social media censors don't go far enough. So the government needs to step in to do the job. 6 days later, Homeland Security rolls out the Ministry of Truth. She also put out this video discussing it today. Watch.
It's all the Democrats out there who say over and over again about how you stand strong against dictatorships. I'm wondering where are your voices now condemning this creation of a Ministry of Truth in our own Department of Homeland Security. Even worse, the Republicans who are out there saying, hey, we need this propaganda board as long as it's not headed by somebody who's biased, as long as it's not Jankowicz. All of you need to read the Bill of Rights again and be reminded about what our freedom of speech really means and how important it is to us all.
And again, if you need the freedom of speech explained, you need to go back to school. Joining me to talk about this is retired Army Lieutenant Colonel, former Congressman, and now a senior advisor for Patriot Academy, Alan West. Colonel, good to see you again. I mean, this is so far beyond the pale, and I have got to believe that the Democrats, the left, the progressives, they knew exactly what the response was going to be, so it makes me ask the question, what are we missing? What's actually going on? Why are they making this huge deal here that they knew everybody would turn to and feed on like piranhas in a puddle? Makes you think something else is going on. But let's start with the Ministry of Truth. What do you make of it?
Well, it's good to be with you, Steve. And first and foremost, this whole governance board for disinformation, you're right. It is very dystopian. And who would have ever thought back when we were reading 1984, we saw the movie, as young kids and young people here in the United States of America, it would come to fruition here. And the Democrats knew exactly what they were doing, but they don't care because for them, everything is about power and control. And as you remember, it is that old mantra, by any means necessary. And so they want to maintain that power control by suppressing speech. And we know now, without a doubt, that Joe Biden is not the person that is in charge in 1600 Pennsylvania, but it is his former boss, the president, and that is Barack Obama. And when he comes out and makes that pronunciation about the fact that we need to have more content, examination and things of this nature. And then the next thing you know, this pops up in the Department of Homeland Security, as you just said, which is a law enforcement agency. That's very disconcerting, and it's something that the American people will not stand for.
Yeah, you know what's concerning here, Colonel, is that nobody would be surprised if we were to learn, say, for example, that Twitter and Facebook, Twitter prior to Elon Musk, and Facebook and these other platforms we're already working with a disinformation arm of the United States government. Seems awfully convenient that it's talked about and 5 or 6 days later, here it is announced. Seems awfully quick, and it leads me to believe it's been going on for some time already. Then we learn about the FBI investigating 3.5 million Americans without warrants. I mean, all of these things kind of tie together to the point of they're really watching every single thing we do, aren't they?
Yes, you're absolutely right. They are. And when you talk about the real collusion, it's not about Russia and the Trump campaign. The real collusion is between these big tech companies and this government that we see up there right now. And that's why one of the things that shame on the Republicans, when we had the House, we had the Senate, and we also had the White House, that we did not strip them of those Section 230 protections. That's something that, for whatever reason, we have not heard McCarthy or McConnell talk about. one of their objectives or one of their contract with America points, and that has to be part of it. I think when you look what Elon Musk has brought them to see about with Twitter, we know that they suppressed the truth about the Hunter Biden laptop, and now all of a sudden, since Elon Musk has discussed and talked about and has confirmed that he will become the new head of Twitter, you've seen a lot of changes in the algorithms that were once there, and people are getting followers back and things of that nature because they're trying to hide what they have done for the past, I don't know, 10 years or so.
Yeah, and here I want to touch on something you just kind of brushed on there. I want to touch on the fact that Republicans are likely going to win in November. It's almost a foregone conclusion at this point. Maybe 50, 60, even 70 seats in the House are a possibility. It's not out of the realm. 5 seats in the United States Senate, not out of the realm of possibility of picking up a wild card in a place like Colorado. But then the real question becomes, Colonel, what do they do with it? Do they put Kevin McCarthy in as the Speaker of the House, which to many of us looks like a retread of Paul Ryan and not a great idea? Do you just have another establishment person in there doing the same old things and squandering the fact that the American people have had it? They've had it with all of this nonsense and the censorship and the looking over the shoulder and the cancel culture and the southern border and the economy, and the list goes on. How are Republicans going to get their act together to make sure they do what this country will soon be demanding?
Well, the only way they get their act together is to go back and look at what Newt Gingrich did in 1994 with the contract with America, something that Senator McConnell has said that they're not willing to do because they don't want to put a plan out there. You know, let me put it in this metaphorical sense. If I was a commander on the battlefield and I told my troops that we're not going to develop a battle plan, we're just going to trust that the enemy is going to be just so bad that they will not be able to execute their own, no one's going to follow me into combat. And so the fact that we have, you know, these Republicans that are basically telling us to vote against the other guy, but not giving us anything to vote for, that's not a good situation to be in going into the midterms.
Yeah, it's a dangerous time, Colonel, and I'm telling you, Kevin McCarthy, if he's the answer, I don't think I understand the question completely, but I'll keep you updated. Thank you for being here as always, sir.
A pleasure.
Coming up after the break, the primary elections are heating up. What is the GOP's message to voters? The question the Colonel just asked. I don't know that we know. We'll talk about it straight ahead on AVL.